Welcome back to Card Smarter.
Not harder.
My name is Stefan,
My name's Daniel.
and we're going to be getting started with our video here. Daniel, if you want to get started with our first topic of the day.
Yeah, so to kind of get things kicking off, we're going to start with a little bit of backstory, our backstory, my
Sure.
backstory, your backstory,
Correct.
on some of the thoughts and some of the actions that we took to get our credit card journey started. For me, it was a lot more volatile. The way my credit card journey was, it was a lot of trial and error. So personally, I didn't really have that kind of mentor to lead me through a lot of my decisions. A lot of the choices that I made with my credit and my credit cards was trial and error. So you would just apply for credit cards and then I would either get them or I wouldn't. And I would sometimes just, you know how you would like request credit limit increases and then you would either
literally.
get approved or denied.
Dang it.
Yeah. So it was a lot of that. My journey started pretty much with Bank of America and I applied and got approved for just about all of the starter credit cards there.
sure.
Had no idea what I was doing, didn't know a thing about cashback or miles or points, had no idea how to redeem anything. All I knew was that I had some credit cards and I used them and abused them in some cases.
Use them and abuse them.
A lot of it was just discovery, but this was probably about 10 to 15 years ago. So this was back when I was high school going into college. Kind of crazy that it's been that long.
Kind of crazy that it's been that long.
But yeah, so that's kind of like my journey, at least to start. We can kind of get more into it like in future episodes as far as like specific cards and specific decisions. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it was just me meandering through the credit card life without a clue. So yeah.
For sure. For me, I guess I can say my journey was a little bit different. It's been about almost 3 years since I got my first credit card with Bank of America as well. We actually got the same one. For me, I had my dad. He really just summed it up and just made it simple in a sense of anything you purchase, put it on your credit card. Don't use your debit card anymore. Debit card, it's not going to give you anything back necessarily. Depending on what, I guess, what we're purchasing and stuff like that. In this case, everyday purchases, everything that you typically buy, just put everything on the credit card. Even if it's not giving you those points back, this is just to start building your credit and build up, your reputation with the bank and stuff like that. So you can, increase your credit limits and stuff like that. So for me, I started just putting everything on my credit card and he told me pay everything off in full every single month. And I'm like, bet, I'm going to do that. So every month I paid everything off in full. I still currently do that now just because, you don't want that interest rolling over. I've seen it firsthand at work too. What happened with a customer. I'm not going to go into specifics, but all I saw was like interest coming in for like almost 12 months. I'm like, oh no, that's not good. But yeah, and I guess just working through that. I mean, I'm on my 6th credit card now. Gonna stay there in the meantime. We're comfortable there.
Sure.
We're comfortable there, but I guess just really just maintaining the habit of paying everything off in full on time, as well as making sure that you don't use your debit card. I think the last time I used my debit card was for Apple Cash because you can't use a credit card for Apple Cash, sadly. So
Yeah.
sending money, I'm like, dang it, I got to do it through there. And then one time I went to Costco and I forgot my credit cards and I had to use my debit card there. And I was like, oh, dang it. Because it was the Visa. I was like,
Yep.
man, but yeah.
Yep. So, two very distinct journeys through, I think that's a really interesting dynamic that you have one person, myself, who I have learned a lot
Yes.
in the last like 15 years as far as
wisdom.
credit cards, but a lot of it probably I've learned within the last like year and a half. And then you, on the other hand, your credit card journey is a lot quicker, but you've had kind of the backing and mentorship of, of your dad to really help you make those decisions.
Yep.
And I mean, you've made a lot of those decisions a lot quicker. For
Yes.
me, it just
Yeah.
took a lot more time and a lot more errors, if you will. So that's kind of the perspective that, we're trying to bring. We have two people that are both quite well informed when it comes to credit cards, and you have two people that have two very distinct opposite credit card journeys, but the cool thing is we're kind of trending in the same direction now
For sure.
as far as our goals and what our journey is going to look like for the next like maybe 1 or 2 years when it comes to credit cards. So I think you mentioned one thing specific that I definitely wanted to touch on as far as like if we could impart some knowledge to
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
You mentioned paying the credit card off in full at the end of the statement every single month.
Correct. Yes.
That is something that I almost never did until recently when I was doing my credit repair. You know
My
what I
credit
mean?
repair.
Yeah. So I fixed it. I fixed my credit. You built on your credit. But so the first thing that I would always want to talk about when it comes to credit cards in general is what you touched on, and that is treat your credit card as if it was your debit card.
For sure. Yeah.
You know,
most
so
definitely.
I would agree with not using a debit card unless the only card that you have. If that's the only card you have, then use it. But if you do have credit cards, if you treat it as if it's a debit card where you only spend the money on your credit card unless you have something in your bank account to either immediately pay it off or at least pay it off in full at the end of every month, I think that's one of the biggest pro tips that I can offer.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely want to touch up on that. I always see people making the mistake, and even, kids and young adults like me, where I still see them using their debit card, and it's like, come on, man. And it's like, some tip that my dad always gave me is said, never spend more than what you have, right? You always want to, kind of imagine, listen, I have $1,000 in my bank account right now. I'm not going to spend more than 30% of that on my credit card. I'm not going to use more than 30% of that, just because it's like you don't want to overuse it to get to the point where, you start getting used to using more than what you have, and you start, accumulating these large balances on your credit cards that, over time will take a long time to pay off. And I mean, going back to seeing, a lot of kids my age, they're still using their debit card. And I'm like, come on, guys, like, hop in it, get on it immediately, just so you can better support yourself in the future when it comes to taking out loans and, purchasing houses. And I mean, the list goes on. We can get into that a little bit later. Yeah.
I think that also kind of plays into what you said about like opening credit cards and using them instead of your debit card. I think that plays into like the second pro tip that I would offer people.
For sure.
And it definitely ties into what you said about like you don't want to accumulate all that debt and have it roll over. Sure. And one of the biggest things that I tell everybody, I mean, you could definitely attest to this, and that is choosing the right credit card.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think there has to be a lot of research that goes into selecting credit cards.
Most definitely.
Because that is what I did not do back then.
I'm going to find a credit card that
exactly
that approves me.
Yeah, my big thing was all of my checking accounts, all my savings accounts were with Bank of America, so I thought that was pretty much the only credit card in existence back then.
Yeah.
So when it comes to choosing the right credit card, I don't think there's a perfect credit card for everybody.
That's true.
But I think the most important thing that people need to consider is choosing a credit card that fits their lifestyle.
For sure. Most definitely.
And that is something that I tell absolutely everybody when they're like, hey, what credit card should I get? Or what credit card would you recommend?
Be like, what are you purchasing?
Exactly.
What do you typically buy on the daily basis? If you're going to the grocery store every single day or every single week, you want to get a credit card that's going to pay you back for purchasing those groceries. If you're getting gas every single week, if you're EV charging, if you're, doing online shopping, right? Taking a look at credit cards that are going to benefit you in those ways, that's what's going to be most important when it comes to choosing your future credit card. I know with Daniel, he's definitely done a lot of research, and he knows a lot about travel benefits, credit cards with those travel benefits, and what will give you the most back for points and all that good stuff. I think it's super duper important. I definitely agree with that pro tip, 100%.
Yep. And then the second part of that is, because you're choosing a card that fits your lifestyle, you're not blinded by all of these welcome offers.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's tempting. You see, you're like 120,000 points, 80,000 points. You're like, ooh, maybe I should get it. But then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I mean, so for example, the American Express Platinum that I just recently got, I was able to achieve that welcome offer because I knew, Jesus Christ, I knew I was headed into a period of the year where gift giving and people were, people are asking you for help purchasing things, and it was pretty much a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think the $6,000 in 6 months or $4,000 in 3 months is very scary, and I think people will be blinded by the 75,000 points that you get as a reward for that, or in my case, the 175,000 points that you get for American Express. But something to kind of realize is these cards are not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, is because I was talking to my dad the other day, or literally not yesterday, And I texted him. I'm like, hey, you know, so and so wants to purchase something, this and that. Should I open up, Amex Platinum, just so I can get that
Yeah.
intro bonus offer?
Yeah.
And he's like, he told me immediately, he's like, number one, how are you going to be using the credit card in the future?
Yep.
Do you plan on traveling anywhere? Number two, he's like, those points are going to be there all the time. They'll always come back. Like, it's going back, hopefully Amex doesn't increase the annual fee again, because they've been doing that recently. I wouldn't be surprised if Platinum's up to like $1,000 annual fee in like 3-4 years. Hopefully not, but yeah, I definitely agree with Daniel in a sense of, those points they won't leave.
But essentially, like, you had that mentorship and that guidance where we're clearly talked off getting the card
Yeah.
because that's the right thing to do. Because, the welcome offer is great, but it just doesn't fit your needs because that travel benefit is just not there.
Yeah.
My sister actually told me something really similar where all these coupons and all these credits that these cards give you, I wouldn't even consider them unless they were giving it back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
for
the
sure.
digital experience credits, like this Equinox credit that the
Yeah.
Platinum card's like, dude, I don't go to Equinox. I go to a gym personally. you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of like this ballooned perception on like the amount of money that you're going to be getting back in the long run.
Yeah.
But realistically, the thing that probably freaks me out the most is when that $695 fee hit,
Immediate boom.
you have to pay it off right away.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
the things that really push people over the edge. Like you were saying with letting things roll over, this is stuff that sometimes people just don't account for as far as annual fees and things like that. So when I think of credit cards, I really try and make sure that I try and maximize the value for it.
Most definitely.
And the Platinum was one where, to be honest, like I didn't have that guidance and mentorship, and I just made that decision by myself. And that 175,000 point just completely, I had blinders. You know what I mean? I was like, on that. Yeah, I'm thinking.
I want that Platinum.
Yeah, I'm thinking of all the traveling that I will be doing.
Yeah.
Because I do have a lot of plans for vacations in the following like year and even 2 years. And I can see that those points definitely going to that. But
For sure.
realistically, in the here and now, now I have all of this credit card debt that I need to pay off.
You look at the cons, and I guess the nice part is you'll get that, Centurion Lounge. You'll, be able to utilize those points.
Yep.
But yeah, most definitely, I think the stuff that you're bringing up is valuable information in the sense of, really do your research before you apply for these credit cards. As well as, like, one thing I like to do is I like to see everything that it can provide. All the credit cards, what I would use specifically, and how that would take down the annual fee. For example, if it's a $300 annual fee and I'm getting back $280 that I know I'm going to be using for sure to keep the card, it's $20 every single year. That's something where I would look into not purchasing, but applying for. But yeah, I think ultimately it comes down to research as well as listening to this podcast, or not podcasts, but
Podcasts, YouTube.
YouTube videos, listening to this YouTube video, podcasts, shorts, whatever, everything.
Yep.
And taking in all the information that we have to give, just because, like Daniel mentioned, we have two different dynamics. But when it comes to the knowledge and knowing the benefits with these credit cards and how to really maximize your benefits.
Exactly. We got it in spades. Trial and error, and then we have that mentorship. And if you don't have that person that is your mentor, then YouTube is probably going to be your best friend, whether it's us, whether it's somebody else.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that I learned on YouTube is what I use today.
For sure.
And that's probably going to lead me to the third and final thing that I want to talk about as
Okay.
far as like if we have like a pro tip, and that is don't let content creators push you into doing something you were on the fence about doing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? I feel like with everything that you see on social media nowadays, there's this sense of urgency for you to get this card.
Like, you have to.
It's-
Thumbnails, back now.
Offer expiring soon. Click the link below so that you get my referral code. You know what I mean?
Yeah, literally.
So I feel like that when I was first starting out it definitely impacted me negatively in a way to where I'm probably applying for cards that I have no business applying for, just because, the people in the game right now that I watch on YouTube who's been in the game for 30 plus years, so it's these people who already have like their portfolio built up. They have their whole lives figured out when it comes to credit cards because they've been doing it for so long. And it almost gives me a sense of like FOMO, like fear of missing
Yeah, I
out.
know. Yeah, you're like, dang, I could be, oh man, that'd be cool if I had that one or this one. And I feel like with these people too, it's like for them, this is almost like a side hustle in a sense.
Yeah.
These referral links, not only that, but in a sense of that's what creates their content is applying for all these credit cards and talking about these credit cards and in the positions that we're not going to be doing that in a sense of applying for every single credit card we see just so we can talk about it in the video. You know what I mean? We want to give our opinion in a sense of making sure that we can best support you guys and the people watching this so they make the right decision and they make sure that FOMO doesn't take over and you're able to really benefit from these credit cards because people see credit cards and they get scared. They don't want to apply for a credit card, they don't want to use a credit card, and that's the thing where it's like, don't necessarily be scared of credit cards. Look at them as a tool, right? A tool to build your reputation with banks, with other banks, and be able to set yourself up for success in the future, right? For me, I look at credit cards and my credit score in a sense of being able to, years from now or 8 years, depending on the time, right? If I want to put a down payment on a house or I want to take a loan from the bank, them seeing my credit history and seeing that I've made every single payment on time, seeing that I have no, my utilization is below that, 30%, that's where I see the utilizing of the tool and how it benefits me. And this is for everyone too. This isn't just for me, but this is for everyone. But
resonates with a lot of folks, and hopefully it will either push you to pursue what you've been pursuing or it'll be like that voice of reason, but after all of the time that I've spent, I've probably made up for the last 10 years in the last 1 year alone as far as research goes. But those are kind of like the three most important things that I would tell anybody. Like if anybody asked me about credit cards, it would essentially be that. I don't necessarily dive into that specific card that I'm currently working on or using or abusing the most of, and then after that, it's kind of all about them.
So to close off this video today, Daniel, what are your top three pro tips you can give?
So treat your credit card like a debit card.
Okay.
Right. So only use your credit card if you have money to pay it off either right away or in full at the end of every month.
Okay.
And then number 2 is to find the card to fit your needs.
Yeah.
So don't change your lifestyle
just because of
exactly
just because of a credit card, just because you want to hit that, you want to get that bonus offer. Just you kind of gotta don't live a life or try to live a life that you're not in the financial position to be doing. Right?
Exactly. Number 2 is to don't change your lifestyle to fit a credit card's needs. You find a credit card to fit your lifestyle needs. So if you shop at Costco, don't get an American Express or
it doesn't work at Costco.
Right.
Learn
and
it
then
the hard way.
You have to essentially change your entire spending habits to fit this card now that you cannot use it at Costco. Exactly.
Card. That's the one. That's like, it's super funny whenever helping out customers and I see, I'm like, oh, Costco. They're like, oh yeah. I'm like,
yeah. Why are you buying this phone with your Costco
with your
card?
Costco credit card.
Anyways, so those are the 2 words of advice or pro tips that strongly resonate with me.
Yeah.
As far as tips that I can provide to other folks, and I think we're pretty much on the same page there.
Yeah, for sure, most definitely. And really, just don't be afraid of credit cards. But do your research, right? That's the most important thing. Other people can help with research, but you have to do. Your life is not our life.
Yep.
Our life is not your life. So it's personalized at the end of the day.
Yep. Right? It's your world. We're just living in it.
Exactly. Yeah. True that.
All right. So that'll be it. And then next time we'll probably get a little more specific with, that starting card journey, since our card was the same one. So we'll probably be talking a little bit more about that customized cash rewards card from Bank of America.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that.
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk about some more stuff as far as, where that led us. So
most definitely.
Cool. This is do card smarter.
Yeah, it's not harder.
Yeah.